Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. I have found something I want to share with you that I've been laughing at all morning. I'm going to share it with you here in just a moment. I found something on Instagram that I thought was just hilarious, and I sent it to some people, and I want to share it with everybody here today. So I got that coming up. So I've been in a good mood because of that, actually, over the past hour since I saw this. I hope everybody's doing well. Yesterday, it was a big day. Did a lot of work yesterday. There's still a lot more work to be done. Obviously, Brianna and I worked yesterday. Working on thumbnails for getting the Arcane clips out on Table Talk, and some of the Napoleon trailers, Napoleon clips as well. So there was a lot going on yesterday. So, but at any rate, I'm glad you're all here. Welcome to the house. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. Yeah, there is a part two. We didn't get this magazine was so dense that I didn't get to everything that I wanted to talk about, because we didn't actually even get to Star Trek 2. I'm going to skip a little bit because we got experiencing this magazine. We were talking about Blade Runner the last time that it was up. But there is something about Return of the Jedi in here, and then there's some article on the Wrath of Khan, and I want to take a look at those. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit and take a look at both of those, because I want to know we just got into some other topics since a week and a half ago or whenever it was, and I haven't gotten to get back to it. So, hey, James, welcome, James and Stray. Good morning. James and Stray in the comments this morning. Please do. Thank you, Stray. Like and subscribe and enjoy the Discord server. Come on into the Discord server as well. So let me say, so there's a lot going on because Wednesdays when I schedule a bunch of my streams and things like that. So let me give you what's going on with everything. The big thing tonight, James, community member, is going to be on Table Talk tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. Watch James on Table Talk tonight. Please do hit that link. Oh, there's Robert. Good morning, Robert. Please hit the, so there we go. So tonight, 7 o'clock, we'll be talking about good and evil in storytelling from the perspective of, did that link not go through? There we go. Oh, and Sable Phoenix is here too. There's Sable. I'm glad you're feeling better. Stuck at home, but feeling fuzzy. Well, at least you're doing well enough to be here. So tonight, good and evil in storytelling from the Catholic perspective. That will be tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Please hit that link, hit the notify me, be there for Table Talk tonight. Then what's the next thing that's going to be happening is the next thing after that on Sunday at 6 o'clock, I'm premiering, Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Central, Brianna, discussion of Scarface. I've been in the process of moving over all of the Table Talk episodes from this channel because I had so many things on this channel, moving it over to the Table Talk channel. So Scarface, this is episode, it's kind of crazy. Like so what is tonight's episode? Tonight's episode is going to be episode number 67. So tonight's episode number 67 of Table Talk. When Brianna and I started discussing Scarface, that was episode 17. There's been a lot of Table Talk. So this is a re-airing on the new channel. Of course, it's private over here on this channel. Now, because its permanent home will be over on the Table Talk channel. And that's episode number 17. There's been a lot of Table Talk, That's at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Sunday. Then Sunday night, right here. That's nothing. This one right here. Sunday night, 6 o'clock, Dinner and a Board Game, Forbidden Island will be on the Dinner and a Board Game channel. This is its own channel. Dinner and a Board Game has its own channel. And it's got 923 subscribers. Dinner and a Board Game. Got lots of different things I'm trying to establish. I'm going to put together, we'll do a video where we go through and sort of, I go through and do my plan. I need to do a lot of planning regarding all these different kinds of things that are being created. Dinner and a Board Game, Forbidden Island. That is Sunday. That premieres Sunday at 6 p.m. Oh, hey, Draco. Good to see you. Been a while since I've seen you. Good to have you back. Good morning. James says, I love Forbidden Island. It is a great game. This is one of the games that I used to just keep. It's a small game. It's in a tin, a reasonably small game. And I would keep it in the car to play when board gaming presented itself. So that will be Sunday, 6 o'clock. That's Megan on the thumbnail right there. She's my cousin and co-host for the show. So she will be, Megan and I will be cooking. I think we do margaritas. And play Forbidden Island. Then after that, next Tuesday, if you want the direct link to this, we're going to be having a discussion. I got Cameron back. Discussion on the Christmas Story. We're going to talk about the Christmas Story. Cameron's going to be joining us. Doug will be here. Brianna will be here. And we will be talking about the Christmas Story from the literary perspective. We'll be analyzing it from the biblical story, literary story structure, whatever. Cameron's going to be bringing in some thoughts on the birth of Christ from an Islamic perspective. And then I will also be talking about my adaptation of the Christmas Story to the Trial of St. Gabriel. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning. So what I would do, so right now, of course, that is up on Kickstarter right now. Get this link right here. The Trial of St. Gabriel. I've got to work this out. I didn't get to work on rebuilding my my files for St. Gabriel yesterday. I'm trying out this new program called Vellum. Brianna recommended that I try Vellum because there's a lot of different ways that you have to, I mean, the different versions of the book you have to put out. So it might be that Vellum helps out. So I'm going to try to work on that this afternoon. But the Trial of St. Gabriel on the Kickstarter page right here. So where are we right here? The Trial of St. Gabriel. So 15 backers. Thank you. We've got 15 backers on the page now. Thank you. What I'm thinking about doing, I'm trying to figure out how this would work, because if you want to be in on that discussion, like I said, now we're going to have other discussions with other discussion topics that night, next Tuesday, discussing St. Luke and St. Matthew, and there's going to be a lot of other discussion as well. But I do want to talk about the choices I made in adapting the Christmas story to the Trial of St. Gabriel story, and the trouble that some of the things that I ran into that I thought were a bit trouble, and how I resolved that when I was writing this. And so I realized that people may want to have already read this story before we have the discussion. It's just a short story. So people may already want to have read the story before Tuesday. So I'm thinking, is there some way that I could send out the revised copies? That gives me an extra incentive to make all the changes that Robert had sent in and some other people had sent in, and rebuild the digital version of the book. That way, yeah, I know the Kickstarter hasn't closed out, but at least anybody who would have pledged for the short story would get it in advance, maybe this weekend sometime, so you can take a few minutes and read the short story in advance of Tuesday if you've already backed the campaign. That way you don't have to worry about spoilers or anything like that too. I don't know if there will be any. But if we're talking about the story, we want to talk about that. Doug and Brianna will probably talk about their opinions on the story. So it might be nice. People might actually want to read that in advance first. So if you do and pledge, it's only $4 for the digital copy. So pledge for if you pledge $4, I'm thinking I'll find some way to just send out a link, maybe message people and get them the story. And then that way you can read it, and then be prepped for joining the discussion on Tuesday. I'm thinking that's a good way to do. Sable says Arcane deserves more table talks. Yeah, I agree. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Coming in from Facebook. Good morning. Good to see you. Welcome. Let's see. Arcane deserves more table talks. Yes, I agree. And I think we should do another one on that. We got all of Arcane clipped. We put out a clip from Arcane yesterday. So that's going on. So all of that's so more clips will be coming out on Table Talk. I've got some other things to do, but that's basically our list of things going on at the moment. So quite a schedule here for the next week here, trying to be at least productive, creating live streams and videos. Okay, let me take this down so we can do our morning sacrament. And then after the sacrament, I'll show you these videos that they're just reels. They're shorts, but man, they're good. And it's about young love, which I want to capture in Rabavania. Oh, I don't have my books up. I had to do a complete reset of the system this morning. So Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. Let me stop this. Present, share screen. First of all, everybody got your beverage this morning? Everybody got your beverage? I do right here, whatever it is this morning. Let's take 2 deep inhales and then complete exhales, and then take a sip of our favorite beverage. Let's clear our minds for just a few seconds this morning and focus on our breath. Here we go. And sip. Okay. Our passage from Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield is my first hero. There was a red-headed cat who used to come around sometimes when I lived in that house in the country. He was a battle-scarred old Tom who lived in the woods. On nights when I was home, I would cook supper over a little fire out back. The cat would materialize and sit across from me while I ate. I tried to toss him scraps of meat from time to time, but he wouldn't take them. He was nobody's pet. The geography of our dinners together was that I would sit on the cinder block step of the back of the house. The fire was in the front of me, inside a circle of stones on a patch of grass. The woods started 10 feet away. The red-headed cat would sit at the edge of the woods facing me. He didn't lie down. He sat straight up, facing me, with his big front paws beneath him. The cat regarded me with an expression that was somewhere between condescension and disdain. There was no doubt in either of our minds which one of us was the superior being, or which one possessed self-command and self-sovereignty. There was no doubt which one could take care of himself and which one had his shit together. This cat looked at me as if he was trying to decide whether or not to kick my ass. I admired that red-headed cat. He became a role model for me. I wanted to be like that red-headed cat. I missed him when he didn't come around. I regarded the apparition of that red-headed cat as a good omen and a sign that maybe I was on the right path. All right. So, all right, our main topic is the Cinefantastique magazine. But okay, this has been going viral, so you may have already seen it already. If you've been on, it's probably on TikTok, I'm sure. I saw it on Instagram. But this right here, there's this video, and then there's a follow-up as well. This is she says this is an actual love letter, or an email that she wrote to her crush when she was 10 years old, and she sings it. Have you seen this? I should probably also pull this back up so that I can give you the link to her Instagram. But here you go. I thought this was hilarious. I've been laughing at it all morning, so I had to share. Here we go.
This is an actual email I sent to my crush when I was 10. To Sam, please will you go out with me? Please, and please do not tell Georgina I sent this, but I love you so much and I have not told anyone. Okay, sorry for not telling you earlier, but if you go out with me, then I will tell you anything, so I apologize and please do not tell anyone I sent this. Please, if there are people with you, then tell them not to tell anyone, or don't tell them at all, but you can tell me back your answer by email or in school, please, but email is better. And I have loved you for so long, I know that this will make it hard for you choosing in between me and Georgina, but count me in. You are coming to my sleepover in 2 weeks, but could you tell me on my mobile as soon as you get this message? You have always been the center of my heart, and that was such a big secret, but I can tell you anything if we go out, so I am begging you please. Love, Rose. His reply was amazing, so I might make this into a series. So let me know if you want to hear that.
It captures what it was like 10 years old. Young love at 10 years old. Now, Sam's reply is fantastic. So let me take that down. Whoop. And then post Sam. Oh, I did it again. Sam's reply here. So Sam returns with this.
Everyone's been asking me for Sam's response, so I'm going to share it with you. I know that it sounds fake. I know it sounds too good to be true, but hand on heart, this was genuinely his response to that email. So he sent me 4 responses over the next 2 days. OMG, I will think about it. That email sunk into my heart like a knife, and I kinda still love you, so that's a definite maybe. Love from Sam, the sexy man. PS, lol. PPS, I prefer you rather to Gigi. She's an epic forcer. I said no to Gigi. Okay, this is kinda hard to say, but I love you. Okay, Rose, I love you so much. If I think about it carefully, I always have now. This is a song video to you, my darling Rose. P.S. Use hyperlink. Right, so the hyperlink was a link to the lyric video for Hero by Enrique Iglesias. If that's not love, I don't know what is.
How great. I loved that. I loved everything about Sam's response. I love that. That's a definite maybe. He actually used the phrase, that's a definite maybe. And then what's up with that Georgina girl, man? She's an epic forcer. I also love P.S. Use hyperlink. I love it. So I've been laughing at that all morning. I thought it was hilarious. So had to share. And by the way, so if you saw that and enjoyed it and have somebody else that you want to share that with, it's on. Here is her Instagram. So like it's these two reels, like the reel number 3 and 4 right now. So you'll find it right there. P.S. Right. So that was hilarious. So there you go. So if you want to follow or get those links to send to somebody else, you can. Good morning, Phaserist. Good morning. Good to see you. James says at 10, this was the scariest thing she'd ever done. Yes. P.S. LOL. So that's the kind of thing. Like if you're writing young love, well, there's a reference for that. All right, let's. I'm going to get the auxiliary camera going here. Turn on my light. Let's see. Present video file. No, extra camera. There we go. All right. So we're going to be taking a look at this and jumping ahead to Revenge of the Jedi. Going by what it was talking about, there was a whole lot more in here about Blade Runner. Oh, Phaser Wrist says, hey, Heath, I know you said something about needing to ensure writing a script to the hero's journey. You should watch What Writers Get Wrong About the Hero's Journey, John Booker. Okay, let me... is that a YouTube video? What people... what writers get wrong? Well, okay, got it. That's on Film Courage. Okay, cool. I will check that out. Thank you for that link. Yeah, I've been brainstorming still, and on the outline. I'm going to reach out to you later. I made a couple of decisions this morning. It's like this is about, and yesterday about how to approach all these different things to create here. Rabavania being one of them. Okay, yeah, okay. So I got the right one. It's from Film Courage. Okay, thank you. I will check that out after the stream. Okay, so here we are with Cinefantastique magazine. This is this double issue from what year did we say this was? 1982, the July and August issue for 1982. So Star Trek 2. Okay, that starts on page 50. So we were looking at Blade Runner. And one of these things, these magazines have a lot of... oh, thank you, James. Have a lot of material. So let's go to page 48 and see. See, that says Revenge of the Jedi right there. That's exactly what Sable was just talking about. So let's see what this said in 1982 about Revenge of the Jedi. Page 48. Don't want to spill my drink on this. All right, so Revenge of the Jedi, artwork by Ralph McQuarrie. Can I get a focus? Yep. Okay. So Revenge of the Jedi, Tatooine desert warfare involves the destruction of a giant sand vessel on the bottom. So that's the destruction of Jabba's sail barge. So this artwork right here. And of course, this is the little skiff that's going beside the sail barge. Tatooine desert warfare involves the destruction of a giant sand vessel bottom, a massive 80-foot high, 212-foot long set, constructed and filmed in the deserts of Arizona. The attack on the giant war machine is mounted by Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Lando Calrissian, and Chewbacca, who are shown in set, making their escape aboard one of its satellite skiffs. So that's that right there. McQuarrie the legend, James says. All right. Revenge of the Jedi, George Lucas's sixth chapter in his Star Wars saga, and the third to be filmed, completed principal photography in April on location. Lucasfilm production is scheduled for release in May 27, 1983, through distributor 20th Century Fox. While Lucas managed to keep a low profile in the production during the 2 months of stage photography in London, filming on the Imperial Sand Dunes in Buttercup Valley, 18 miles west of Yuma, attracted some unwanted media attention for the construction of a huge sand vessel shown left, destroyed in a pyrotechnics-laden battle scene. The Arizona filming became the subject of an AP Wire news service story, and San Diego's KFMBT MBTV dispatched a newscopter to film the set during construction. Crowds of that's pretty kind of neat. Crowds of Star Wars fans feared by the production. Crowds of Star Wars fans feared by the production. Never materialized. Yeah, because that was. I think I remember reading that someplace before now, that they were afraid that they were going to be swarmed or something. I guess it's because of this news helicopter that flew over. And filming on the $1 million set came off without a hitch. The anti-gravity sand barge is flown by Jabba the Hutt, an alien underworld profiteer who put a price on Han Solo's head in Star Wars. Cost for the Arizona filming was $4 million. Revenge of the Jedi is directed by Richard Marquand, who helmed an absolute dreadful horror film called The Legacy in 1979. Marquand got the Lucasfilm assignment on the strength of his work on The Eye of the Needle, an elaborate Nazi spy thriller starring Donald Sutherland, filmed in 1981. Paving the way for Revenge of the Jedi, distributor 20th Century Fox plans to redistribute The Empire Strikes Back in December and in April 83 with a promo tag for the upcoming sequel. They put it back in the theaters? Is that what they're saying there? Re-releasing The Empire Strikes Back in December and in April 1983 with a promo tag for the upcoming sequel. I mean, I guess that means theatrical release. So it says up here, searching for Solo. I think this might be it. Yeah, so that's it. This is all this little preview here is. This up here says searching for Solo. Droids C-3PO and R2-D2 are intercepted at the entrance hall to Jabba the Hutt's desert palace on Tatooine by Jabba's sinister major domo, Bib Fortuna. Remember, Han Solo got freeze-dried at the end of the last film, and his body was taken to Jabba by Boba Fett. So right here, this is High Priest. So this says the High Priest of Star Wars right here. High Priest of Star Wars, Ralph McQuarrie, whose art, shaped by the imagination of George Lucas, provides the visual design of the Star Wars saga, an eclectic blend of science fiction and adventure film franchises. Film traditions, rather. So that's pretty neat. Also under the name Revenge of the Jedi. Pretty neat. So, but then here, good morning, BGD. Good morning. So here is our major issue. So there's a lot here. We'll just see what we'll get to. I wonder what it says. So there's quite a bit. I mean, this is amazing. The amount of material that this has. Oh my God, look at that. The model of the Enterprise. No, and there's the Reliant. Okay, let's just see what it says. Okay, it says Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan. How the TV series became a hit movie at last. Plus, the story behind the amazing special effects created by Industrial Light and Magic. From a fairly obscure television series in the late 60s, Star Trek grew into something that fulfills the criteria for mythology, endurance. From the cancellation of the TV show in 1969 to the appearance of the first movie in 1979, there was almost no input from the creators of the show. Yet the Star Trek universe lived in the hearts and minds of the fans. When originally televised in 1966 to 1969, the series barely squeaked into its third season and then died of low ratings. Nevertheless, kids, teenagers, and college students revered the show and kept it alive in syndication after its network demise. Star Trek is one of the few syndicated shows that have the distinction of always being on the air somewhere in the country 24 hours a day. Really? Star Trek is one of the few syndicated shows that has the distinction of airing of always being on the air somewhere in the country 24 hours a day. Interesting. In fact, it would be hard to find a person in this country or half the world who would not recognize the shape of the Enterprise or be able to place a reference to Spock's pointy ears and the famous line, "Beam me up, Scotty." Yes, do hit the like button. Thank you, BGD, for the reminder. James says, I love his original concepts for Vader and the Stormtroopers. They aren't drastically different like Chewie, but they're different enough and very slick. Vader's mask is exaggerated in the best way. Is that some of the material that later went on to use Rebels to come up with Rebels? Good morning, Innerlight. A lot of very profound words have been written in an attempt to explain the Star Trek phenomenon. Doctoral degrees have been earned for dissertations on the subject. Learned papers have appeared in journals of psychology, sociology, history, and even religion. It may be that in the long run, science fiction films in general, and Star Trek in particular, will be a characteristic of our time, as the wisecracking, sophisticated comedies of the 30s and hard-boiled detective stories of the 40s. Indeed, with their galactic empires and fantastic technology, space films might be the most popular films of all time. They show us that man has a future when all around us we hear the warnings that civilization has reached its zenith and it's on a long downhill slide. Every time we read our newspapers about another bomb, another war, or another pollutant, space movies take on greater importance as a sign that man can endure and prevail. Oh, that is it. So that's it. So Rebels, that's the Chewbacca is the original Chewie. Zeb is the original Chewie. I thought that might be the case. I heard that they used a lot of original designs. We'd gone back to original designs to do that show. The optimistic humanism of Star Trek is refreshing in a world buried in sophisticated cynicism. The show is one of the first science fiction productions, and certainly the first TV series, which was non-xenophobic. Non-human aliens were not automatically villains, nor cute comic relief. From the moment early in the first episode, Man Trap, when we saw the man with the elegantly pointed ears on the bridge and in command of the ship, not lurching around menacing the heroes, it was obvious that here was something special. It's true the series characters were simple, almost archetypes, and the stories were thinly disguised allegories for present-day problems. But it was also true that an elusive quality of the characters gave the morality plays an extra dimension, whether or not this hint of something beyond the obvious was manifested in the actors or just in the minds of viewers. It fired the imagination of thousands of people in the audience and produced an ever-growing Star Trek fandom. Conventions appeared and thriving amateur press turned out reams of fan-written spin-off fiction, utilizing the series' characters and universe for new stories. James says, did TV broadcast even go 24 whole hours in 1982? Usually there was hour-long gap at night, station ID, sign-off, and static for hours. I don't know. And those that are going 24 hours a day, at least some of them decided to play Star Trek. Inner Light says, I was thinking of doing a drawing in December to give away a few copies of my short story, The Law of 3 in 1. I need to work on some other short stories in the same universe. I was rereading it this morning in great enjoyment. Fantastic. Well, if you do a giveaway, let us know in the Discord and here, and we'll let people sign up for it for sure. So are they saying that Ray Walston, My Favorite Martian, was comic relief? I never laughed. I don't know that reference. Let's see. Gradually, Paramount, which seems to own the lion's share of the rights to TV shows, began to realize the enormous demand for merchandising on the series, even though it long ceased to be an ongoing production. The success of commissioned novels, books of artwork, and blueprints of the ship, and the continuing popularity of Star Trek conventions and the syndicated reruns led Paramount to think of reviewing what was becoming to look like a golden goose. This goose was, at various times, to be brought forth as a movie for TV, a special event program on cable, and a series proposed, but never realized, fourth network for television. Finally, it was decided to make The Golden Goose a motion picture. Unfortunately, The Golden Goose laid an egg. This looks like storyboards. Oh, it is. Yeah, this is storyboards. So we got storyboards on Regula. No, City Alpha 5. Indicating motion with the Reliant, the Regula station. Damage to the ship. Forward motion indicated. This says storyboards were the first step in getting Star Trek II on the screen. As the script was being written by Jack B. Sowards, art director Michael Miner was hired in 1981 and began storyboarding the effects under the direction of producer Robert Sallin. With a background in the production of television commercials, Sallin understood that extensive pre-planning of the film's special effects was the only way to budget it accurately and bring it in economically. The storyboards shown left were drawn in by Miner in October after the effects contract of the film had been awarded to Industrial Light and Magic, a division of Lucasfilm. From top to bottom, left to right, scene 14, Chekhov and Terrell materialize on SETI Alpha 5. Yep, that's what we thought that was. On SETI Alpha 5, where'd that go? A non-ILM effect supplied by Peter Krugen's Visual Concepts Engineering Company. 2. Scene 46, Regula 1 orbits Gamma Regula. 3. Scene 60, Kirk, Spock, and Bones review the Genesis tape. 4. Scene 76, the Reliant fires phasers at the Enterprise. Scene 76A, reverse on the Enterprise's Reliant's phaser hits. 6. Scene 92, angle past the Enterprise as the Reliant comes about. Number 7, scene 165. On Enterprise bridge, the camera pans to view the screen. Scene 195. Reliant bearing on a collision course with the Enterprise. Electron charges building. Scene 196. Angle on the Reliant twin phaser cannons firing during the Nebula battle. Charted with each drawing is a complete breakdown of the elements needed to complete the shot, divided into ILM and non-ILM work. Said Miner of ILM's contribution to the film, it's been very exciting for me to see the effects I visualized done on the screen by the Rolls-Royce of effects houses. The visuals in Star Trek II are better than the first in so many ways. Andrew says it was a TV show from the 60s starring Bill Bixby and Ray Walston. It was obviously before Bill Bixby would later become David Bruce Banner in the alter ego of the Hulk. BGD says Walter later had a guest cameo as Boothby at Starfleet Academy in The Next Generation. Oh, he played Boothby. I know who you're talking about then. Andrew says Star Trek 1 was the greatest letdown of my childhood. I'm sure it's great for adults, but it was so bad for children, or at least this child. Nothing like the show at all. Yeah. Of course, we did now on Table Talk. Now that one hasn't re-aired yet, but Doug and I did an intense breakdown and deep dive into Star Trek 1. We've gone through all the Star Trek episodes, all these Star Trek movies. The 5th movie is the one that's up on Table Talk channel right now. I haven't moved through and gotten all of the rest of them up. But when I do, I really wanted to get the word out about the analysis that Doug and I have done on the Star Trek movies. I mean, we've done 10 and a half hours on just Star Trek on the first hour and like 10 minutes of Star Trek 6. There's a lot of Star Trek discussion that's happened on Table Talk. That needs to get out. Once it's, re-uploaded, more clips being made of that really needs to get out, because probably it could be the case. I would submit that it could be the case that Doug and my discussion of Star Trek on Table Talk, the Star Trek movies, is the most comprehensive discussion of the Star Trek movies that is available on the internet. Is there anybody else who has discussed them in as much detail? I'd like to see it if there has. James says, this magazine is incredible. I love print media in general, but this, with the storyboards and details, really top notch. I wish we had things like this today. Today's blogging just doesn't cut it. Sable says, and some of the most important science fiction films of all time. Sable says, it's pretty amazing. No wonder it's a collector's edition. The effects in Star Trek II actually still hold up well today, including the Return of the Jedi, like the space battle and Return of the Jedi and such. Sable says, yes, it is very 70s. Star Trek, the motion picture, was extremely 70s. The whole thing felt like a psychedelic trip. So no, Andrew says, I haven't rewatched Star Trek 1. I'm not mentally ready. I need another 40 years to recover. Yeah, definitely not in the same atmosphere. Decker unit. No, there's that Decker unit as well. Speaking of detailed Star Trek analysis, need part 3 of this. Yes, we need part 3 of the Star Trek 6 analysis soon. We need that too. And actually, Doug and I were planning that. We were planning out some different table talks to come soon. And I want to say that we might have had it on the docket to do the Tuesday after the discussion of the Christmas story. It could be that was on the docket for that day. But Brianna needs to switch her weeks. She's on every other week on Tuesday, but she's got something come up. Actually, it sounded like board gaming, like some kind of board gaming crew. I'm not sure if it's board gaming or if it's an RPG. Could be either one, but like a tabletop gaming group that's supposed to meet every other Tuesday, but it happens to be on her Table Talk Tuesdays. So she's going to swap which Tuesday she's on. So it may be, if it was Star Trek 6 that was going to be the week after the Christmas story, Brianna may come back for that one. That Tuesday, so we'll have to change it. And then if that's true, then we'll just bump Star Trek 6, Doug and my discussion of Star Trek 6, since Brianna's not in on that, to the week after. So yeah, we wanted to complete Star Trek 6 by the end of the year. So that is coming up. Phaser Risk says you should do one on Dune versus Star Wars. The documentary Jodorowsky's, I don't know how to pronounce that. Jodorowsky's Dune is really interesting. Herbert even considered suing Lucas because of blatant stolen parts. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I do want to. Actually, Dune has been on the list of things to analyze for a long time, and we had even talked about doing a reading of it. It seems like maybe we should do all of that on Table Talk when Dune 2 comes out. Yodorovsky. Yodorovsky. Got it. Let's see. Okay. This is producer Robert Sallin. So this is right here. We do have the cast and credits over here, which I think is neat, because where do you get those? If you're looking for the cast and credits of a movie in 1982 and you need the full cast, or you want to see who was in it and everything like that, where are you going to get that in 1982? It's at the end of the movie, of course, but if you need to reference it someplace else, I've noticed that they did the same thing with Blade Runner. So that's a common thing, I guess, to do to make sure they have the complete cast and credits here. So it says Star Trek the motion picture was nothing like Star Trek the TV series. Oh, that's exactly what we were just saying in the comments. That's the next line here in the main story. Star Trek the motion picture was nothing like Star Trek the TV series. It was as if the powers that be had decided to remake Star Trek by violating every principle the series' popularity was based on, couched in subdued, generally unpleasant hints of their former personalities. The characters wandered through an aimless and irritating plot, which seemed primarily to excuse an excuse for a self-conscious special effects extravaganza. Wow. The plot was unabashedly drawn from several episodes of the series, notably The Changeling. God, my eyes are... God, I guess maybe he's looking down or something. And the climactic revelation was expounded by such numbing heavy-handedness that even the most dedicated Trekkie must have suppressed a shudder before jumping up to praise the Emperor's new clothes. Wow, that's quite a paragraph there. The movie cost $45 million that Paramount will admit to according to the film's industry figures. But like the TV show, extensive merchandising saved the first movie. The myriad of products created in conjunction with the movie sold very well. And when the movie finally earned back its nut, a film must gross about 3 times its production cost to start showing a profit. It was plain that even severe maltreatment had not killed the golden goose. This says Project Genesis. At the story conference the next day, executive producer Harv Bennett came over, hugged me, and said, "You've saved Star Trek." Michael Miner, art director. It says Paramount began to think once more about bringing over the sets, look up. James says this magazine was well constructed and realized. Speaking of John Carpenter, I was sad when Disney dropped it after the first film. To paraphrase a classic, Andrew says, no one thought of the children, or at least this child. Innerlight says, oh no, Sable says, Innerlight, you can't do John Carpenter right and make it a family film, so no wonder they flubbed it. Phaser Risk says, I agree, but if you do some research there or some very blatant there were some very blatant stolen scenes and whatnot that are undeniable. Either way, I love Star Wars much more than Dune. Paramount began to think once more about bringing out the sets it had carefully stored away after the first film wrapped. This time, things would be done differently, they decided sensibly enough. This time, the television arm of Paramount would produce the motion picture. This time, its budget would be strictly controlled and kept to about a quarter of the final cost of the first film. Wow, that's a huge budget cut. A quarter of the cost of the first film. This time, it would be Star Trek as it had been in the much-loved TV series, a story about people, not technology and special effects. Gene Roddenberry, creator and executive producer of the series and producer of the first movie, became executive consultant. And Harv Bennett was chosen to serve as an executive producer. Bennett had been respected for his intelligence, his articulateness, and his fund of general knowledge since the days when, as Harv Fishman, he was one of the original radio shows. He was one of the original. God, I can't read. What is wrong with me? Sable says they're pulp adventure. Oh, Sable says, you never read the books, but read a smattering of comments. Or never read the books. Are those books good? Yeah, this is an area I don't know much about either. Pulp adventure. Since he had worked for the Sun Times in Chicago, CBS TV, ABC TV, where he was executive producer for The $6 Million Man and was an executive producer written for Universal, Bennett was executive producer of The Rich Man, Poor Man and From Here to Eternity miniseries. With the script for Star Trek II still to be settled upon, Bennett began gathering his production staff. Bennett selected Robert Sallin, a director and producer of television commercials and an old college chum, to produce the movie. Bennett and Sallin both attended UCLA's film school in the early 50s, joked Sallin, before it was fashionable. Sallin has made over 1,600 commercials and won virtually every top national and international award, including the 1978 Clio for Most Humorous Commercial of the Year, maybe Clio, and the 1970s Grand Prix of the Venice Festival for outstanding commercial work worldwide. It fell upon Sallin, who had joined the production in February of 1981, to bring Star Trek II quickly and cheaply. The film's budget is officially at $12 million. Bennett had also hired Michael Miner as art director, and it was Miner who suggested the direction of the script would eventually take. At that time, the story was called The Omega Project. Oh, at the time it was called The Omega Project, and it revolved around a destructive weapon. I know that Meyer said that he wanted this to be called The Undiscovered Country, which doesn't fit. It makes much more sense for Star Trek VI to be The Undiscovered Country. Well, they could be screen fatigued. I think it's my, when I'm looking down or something, I guess my, no, it's not that. It's, I think when I'm looking down, my contacts rotate. So my contacts get out of position on my eyes. I think that's it. Probably need new contacts. The $6 million man nowadays sounds like a small amount of money to rebuild a human being. I loved that show as a kid. Also, The Fall Guy with Lee Majors too. Yeah, with the $60 million man. See, it's fine now. I think when I look up, I guess my contacts reseat themselves. So it was called the Omega Project. Harv wanted something uplifting, something that would be fundamental in the 23rd century, the discovery of recombinant DNA, as the discovery of recombinant DNA is in our time, said Miner, who suggested the idea to Bennett during a casual phone call. Then something just came to me, and I said terraforming. Harv asked, "What's that?" I told him it was the altering of existing planets to conditions which are compatible to human life. I suggested a plot, just making it up in my head while talking on the phone. Miner continued, the Federation had developed a way of engineering the planetary evolution of a body in space on such a rapid scale that instead of eons, you have events taking place in months or years. You pick a dead world or an inhospitable gas planet, and you change its genetic matrix or code, therefore speeding up time. This, of course, could also be a terrible weapon. Suppose you train it on a planet filled with people and speed up its evolution. It could destroy the planet and every life form on it. The Federation is involved with playing God, but at the same time trying to take barren planet and convert it into lovely worlds. Harv liked the idea a lot. At the story conference the next day, he came over, hugged me, and said, "You saved Star Trek." This terraforming device was aptly named the Genesis Project, and the story rapidly took shape, written by Bennett and Jack Sowards. Care was taken to keep the interplay and relationship between characters that marked the first series accurate and true. Little background details have been preserved, like Kirk's interest in this story and his obsessive passion for his ship. Little background details have been preserved. Okay. It was my idea for Kirk to have nautical souvenirs in his apartment in his quarters, Salin said. I went over to the prop house and picked up a ton of stuff. There was a diver's helmet, a model of a square-rigged sailing ship, all sorts of things. Other threads of personality going back to the TV series weave through the script. The heavy of the story comes from one of the first season episodes, Khan, the genetically engineered tyrant who ruled a quarter of our planet during the closing years of the 20th century, was first encountered in Space Seed, see sidebar on page 75. In that episode, the Enterprise came upon him and his followers in suspended animation, drifted along into deep space in the aptly named ship, the Botany Bay. In other ways than the re-encounter with his old nemesis, Khan, the past is catching up with Kirk. The script realizes these people are no longer the same people they were in the series 13 years ago. They've grown older. They're surrounded by a bevy of cadets who make them feel their age. Kirk, in particular, is feeling the cold breath of mortality on the back of his neck. He has just turned to another year older as the story begins and beginning to realize that he's not exactly been building a nest emotionally during his life. This down here says art director. This image here. Art director Michael Miner and production designer Joseph Jennings, two Star Trek fans who made sure the design of the film was faithful to the TV series. James says the Undiscovered Country title does work so well for Star Trek VI. It's layered with meaning. It's at least a triple entendre, possibly quintuple. It's explicitly Shakespearean, yes. The whole film's Shakespearean reference, practically. Shakespeare in space. In the script, Kirk meets his son, someone he has never particularly been interested in becoming involved with and doesn't even recognize him. David Kirk is not a little boy, not a teenager, but a grown man, a scientist on an advanced project indicating years of education and experience behind him. I stayed away because you asked me to, Kirk tells his son's mother, but staying away and staying totally out of touch are two different things, and they both know it. Kirk has always worked hard at being emotionally superficial, and it's come home to haunt him in many ways. As the script developed, Salin began pre-production and was determined not to let the film's special effects get out of hand, a factor which drove up the budget on the first film. I just applied some old commercial production techniques, said Salin. I storyboarded everything. I had a chart made which listed by scene every special effect and optical effect, and I timed each one. I designed and supervised all the special effects. Mike Miner, our art director, sat up here in my office and did the storyboards. Then I held meetings with 4 or 5 optical effects companies, and some of these meetings ran over 3 hours. I gave them thorough information so that when the movie was finished, the amount of deviation from the plan was very slight. Continued Salin. As you recall, in the first movie, there was quite a few problems with special effects. This time we came so close to budget that you couldn't even go out for a decent lunch on the difference. The storyboarding process began in June before the script had been finalized. As different scripts came in, director Mike Minor redrew the boards. That sounds out of order to me. I mean, I guess this was all supposed to be happening fast, so the idea is, well, let's go ahead and start storyboarding. But it seems like you could waste a lot of time storyboarding things of a not final script. But I guess it worked out. As different scripts came in, art director Michael Miner redrew the boards. I laid out 4 different features in storyboard, said Miner. Literally different plots, different characters, different events, different effects. I put in maybe 400 man-hours before we settled on what we used to get bids for the effects. ILM effects. I hate the Enterprise model. I think it's made out of lead. It took 8 guys to mount it for the shot and a forklift to move it around. Ken Ralston says, effects co-supervisor. The winning bidder was ILM, George Lucas's industrial light and magic facility near San Francisco, and producer Robert Salin credits their integrity and honesty as well as their pre-planning for bringing in Star Trek II on schedule and on budget. Douglas Trumbull's entertainment effects group was one of the losing bidders. According to Trumbull, as reported in the first issue of American Film Magazine, EEG's bid was $1.5 million under ILM's. EEG's bid was under ILM's. Salin refused to discuss the effects budget or the bid differential alleged by Trumbull, saying, I don't think it's appropriate to do so for anyone's business or anyone's business for that matter. Salin chalks up the Trumbull's remark to sour grapes. EEG was excluded fairly early on in the bidding process for a very simple reason, Salin said. Trumbull made it very clear that he would not be available after a certain date because he was going to direct Brainstorm. Work began at ILM in early September, well before the start of principal photography, using the models of the Enterprise left over from the first feature. Because of the model's complexity, ILM requested advice from Trumbull, who had filmed it for Star Trek The Motion Picture. Although ILM offered to pay all expenses, Trumbull refused to send any EEG technicians to ILM San Rafael facility. Mastering the Enterprise, and master it they did, cost ILM no small amount of time and trouble. Sable says, usually you build a model like that out of balsa wood and foam. I wonder what they made it from, as that was that heavy. Yeah, who knows? Did you know that there was enough interest in Galaxy Quest that they were considering making a series? I did not. So Phaser says, before I forget, Heath, I have a link I'm going to email you now for reading to a website that has some great information on writing screenplays, specifically pages and plot points and such. Okay, excellent. Sable says, Galaxy Quest. It's been a long time since I've seen Galaxy Quest. Galaxy Quest was so good it deserves not to have a sequel. Leave it alone. It's been a long time since I've seen that. I remember hardly nothing of it. Let's see. Let's go up here before we cut out. So here's the pictures right here. Kirk's apartment. Kirk's apartment in San Francisco is the setting for a personal call by Dr. McCoy, played by DeForest Kelley, early in the film, in which he suggests that Kirk regain what he really misses in life, a Starship Command. The story, by executive producer Harve Bennett, depicts Kirk as an aging hero plagued by self-doubt. Appropriately, McCoy's visit is prompted by Kirk's birthday. Shown right, Kirk, William Shatner, uses McCoy's gift, a pair of antique Ben Franklin half glasses, to examine a bottle of rare bootleg Romulan ale McCoy brought for the occasion. Production designers Joseph Jennings dressed Kirk's apartment with antiques to emphasize the character's fascination with history, and Professor Robert Salin added a touch of nautical props to suggest that Kirk perceived himself as the space-age equivalent of history's great sea voyagers. The view of San Francisco seen outside Kirk's picture window was provided economically enough by art director Michael Miner, who rented a small section of a scenic painting of the city from 20th Century Fox, used originally in The Towering Inferno. Miner added a subtle realistic touch by constructing between the painting and the window lighted miniature buildings and moving elevators seen fleetingly from various angles, such as Kirk and McCoy in front of a roaring fireplace, bottom right. Wardrobe designer Robert Fletcher provided costumes to bring out the personalities of the characters. McCoy wears a shirt and trousers with flaps and pockets and inset panels of color to suggest someone who dresses in a more youthful fashion than most men his age. Kirk's outfit suggests a man with an ego who likes flashy clothes, but in an elegant way. I've always thought those were some weird pants McCoy was wearing. All right. We've been going for about an hour, and there's lots to do today. So that I guess there will be a part 3. I'm interested in reading this whole article. So we will return for a part 3 of Cinefantastique magazine and figure out what's going on in Star Trek, the rest of Star Trek 2 here. Well, I'll put that in just a moment. Phaser Wrist says, love Galaxy Quest. Oh, the actor said they couldn't do it without Alan Rickman. Oh, yeah, he was in that. Was this before or after Shatner was doing TJ Hooker? I don't know. All right. Well, all right. So everybody, please remember to join me tonight for the discussion with James Bacon. Here we go. James Bacon, that's tonight, 7 o'clock. I'll put the link in here. Click that, hit the notify me button. We'll get some more viewership and subscribers. See, we're now at 580. Is that let me refresh. We are now at 580 dedicated Table Talks, 582 dedicated Table Talk subscribers. So tonight, right here, 7 o'clock with James. There's the link. And then also, please do come by, pick up the Trial of St. Gabriel, and then I will send it out so people can read it in advance of our discussion next Tuesday. So please come by. 15 backers. Did that increase? Was it 14 or 15? It might have been 14 earlier and 15 still at the start of this show. But anyway, 15 backers in here. Everybody have a fantastic evening, or fantastic evening. I don't even know what time it is. Fantastic day. Go forth, be creative, be constructive, and I will see you. Oh, it is 16. Thank you, whoever that was. Thank you. I will see you tonight to talk to James. Later, everybody.